All right, there's a red light, it's blinking.
Battery's dead?
No,
Oh, I know how to run that one.
yeah, well, I'm trying to turn it on.
Okay, time is 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Those here are the three commissioners, Kathy, the chief, and the two deputy chiefs. We have Kevin Malden, we got Paul Blaisdell, we got
Dennis Meeting,
Doug Mannon, Dennis Mannon, and
Nathan,
Nathan
Langione.
Lincoln. Okay, the first thing on the agenda is correspondence.
we have none.
We have none. Well, that's good. Let's jump into the building committee.
The building committee has met last night, had lengthy discussions. A couple key areas were I sensed frustration that the commissioners hadn't moved forward with their recommendation. We talked about some of the questions that came up with the commissioners. We did an informal survey of the committee about how they felt about whether we were rushing to get to the March meeting date with a proper proposal, and I'll let Paul speak to that in greater detail. We talked about our informational sessions and what those would look like and what sort of the agenda would be and how that would be advertised. And we talked about changing the first date, and I'll let Paul talk about that. We had a good discussion, I thought. I feel like the committee's frustrated, as I guess we all are, that we're not moving along faster, and we're not getting, we're getting crunched up against a timeline. And I would suggest we ask Paul to maybe facilitate.
You want to add some, Paul?
Sure. So, thank you, Tim. Our goal has always been, as a committee, to present something to the voters this March. And, you know, we got off to a kind of a rocky start on our schedule, where we, you know, we're several months behind right from the get-go. And now, you know, we're trying to play catch-up. And I guess the frustration comes in with respect to, I don't know as though there's 2 months worth of catch-up that we have in the schedule. And there's also frustration on the members of the building committee that, with respect to what's being presented, what would be presented to the public if we were to push forward, and the potential for it being an incomplete proposal with more question marks than answers. So I think what we decided last night was to push forward and target this coming March, but try to keep a realistic goal of, if we don't get it this March, let's put it on the 2025. And one of the issues is the question of, can we or should we move forward with any expenditure from the fire district prior to owning that property on Sanborn Road. And if the ownership does not transfer until the town meeting next March, then really, can we do anything realistically prior to then? And maybe that's something you gentlemen can give us some insight on. Is there an agreement that that property is ours in the event that we decide to make this swap? regardless of what the town votes, the town of Tilton. Because that's going to be huge in our progress. You know, if there's no ownership of the fire district, there are members of the committee that say, we don't think we should spend any more money on designs or schematics or anything until we're 100% sure we own that property. So, and not just that we own it, but that we want to own it, that we want to put a building there, that we want to take Center Street and trade it rather than sell it in the open market, and you know, have all of those potential avenues then looked at by the commissioners. In other words, what does that, I think your son Matt brought this up at the meeting down on Park Street. If that building has value and we're giving it to the town, then we're essentially not getting the land at Sanborn Road for free. Now, has that building been appraised? Has that, you know, and these are questions, and maybe you guys have answers, but these are the things that we need to kind of hash around and get answers for. So what we decided to do, I kind of polled every member of the group and asked them whether they thought it was wise to push hard to get something before the voters this next meeting, or whether we should just sit back and do the best we can. Excuse me, I knew this was going to happen. It always happens. Or should we wait until next year? And most everybody said, let's continue our work. Let's get these answers to these questions. And but let's not force it. Let's not push too hard for this year. So, so our informational meetings are, you know, that we had planned for the library. We're still going to do them. We're going to delay them. The first one is canceled, which is October 25th. I think Paul was going to be joining us. So I've already talked with Brittany. One of the other things was going to be, Nate suggested that we have at least one meeting during the week rather than all of them on a Saturday morning. So I talked with Brittany about having them during the week, and that's no problem. So maybe in November or December we can schedule that third meeting at your leisure during the week on a Tuesday or Thursday. They're open till 8 o'clock. And then we discussed, well, what are we going to discuss at those meetings? And basically, my goal is to bring the public up to where we are today. Discuss what we've discussed, okay? And what Lisa thought was that it'd be best that we make sure that at every meeting the same information is disseminated, so that we're not saying one thing at one meeting and a different thing at another meeting. So we kind of came up with an agenda for the meeting, and basically all it is all the steps along the way of how we arrived at today. And that's kind of what we'd like to use as our agenda for our meetings. And basically all it is the recommendations from the 2019 Building Committee, the request for qualification proposals and addendums, all the steps that we've gone through to get where we are. Contractor selection process, contract and scope of work, contract additional work, the Sanborn Road site evaluation, site selection recommendation, contractor work to date, design build phase 1 program evaluation, geotech and site evaluation, space needs study, on and on. But just break it down. This is what we've discussed. This is the information that we've gleaned from Lorero, and this is where we are today. Not go into, well, this is what I think the station should be. This is not, you know, any opinions or anything like that. This is where we are. And not discuss designs or anything like that, because that's not where we're at right now. Just want to bring the public up to where we're at today. Try to keep everybody up to speed, get everybody on the same page. We'll save all that information for later when Lorero comes in with their public, with their,
Informational sessions.
yeah, their, I forget the name of it.
Public outreach.
Public outreach representative, and let them do that. But my intention with these informational meetings is simply to bring the public up to where we are today. So that's what we discussed last night. I think that was it. Is there anything you guys wanted to add?
That was,
There's something that occurred to me after the meeting last night, was that the transfer of property, I think, would end up being lopsided, because although I think that the selectmen of not Northfield, Tilton, may be empowered to dispose of the property, but part of the agreement requires us to spend money to complete it, which we don't have. So it's gonna be another budget cycle. And how do you get that approved? I mean, if the agreement's signed and then the people say no, and if they say yes, it occurs to me that we would have to have possession of Sanborn Road to build on before we can give up 12 Center Street, because while that still is under construction, we still need a place to live. So how that all comes to fruition is, because you can't say, okay, the swap is now, we raise 12 Center Street and pave it. What do we do? Where do we go?
Well, I think we would have to put a contingency in there that the transfer is based upon completion of a station. You'd have to put some type of contingency in there to do that. It would be, if that was the place that it was going, you would have to put a contingency in the agreement, which I'm sure can be done, stating that the Center Street isn't transferred over until completion of a station at Sanborn Road.
I can't see why that would be only beneficial to the town of Tilton anyway to do it.
Yeah,
Because if they let us build a fire station on Tilton property, and then the district still maintains ownership of 12 Center Street, I don't think the town of Tilton's really gonna balk at allowing residents there to do the swap, because the town of Tilton really stands to lose the piece of property. You know, they may still own the piece of property, however, it'll be the district's fire department.
Yeah.
You know, they're still gonna have a fire department on 45 Sanborn Road, and then, you know, so I don't see that issue. But basically, you know, if I could add one other thing too, is I kinda almost got like the assumption last night, the way things we were talking about, this 12 Center Street it's assessed. I mean, we can go on Zillow, that's anecdotal, you know what? There was a lot of anecdotal information put out about, you know, net worth and things of that nature, but, 205 grand, that's the assessed value, 12 Center Street. And right now, just looking at the tax card real quick for the police station, there's what, it's like almost 5 acres that the police department, and they've got 1 acre slotted out at a price of $78,000 an acre that the police station sits on. Now, it's kind of undervalued when you look at the other 3.88 acres that are sitting at 2,500, okay? That is way undervaluated as far as that. But if it was to ever change hands, you know, I would just look at the top figure and say, okay, they're looking at $78,000 per acre, and I think they're looking to relinquish about 2.4 acres, not the full 3.8. So you're well over a $200,000 threshold. So my point with it is I want to convey that, yes, Center Street has value. So does 45 Sanborn Road. That piece of land is not worthless. So it's not, I think this free versus, like the fire district's giving up 200, you know, a building and land of value, and we're, you know what, we're just getting something free instead. Yeah, you know, both properties have value. I just want to make that known and clear.
I guess I will add my opinion. I think the town of Tilton would probably be willing to accept a property exchange without the station being removed and the lot being paved, especially if that's something that's necessary as far as order of operations with land being exchanged and, you know, funds having to be approved on, you know, different cycles for different towns to do different things. And then, you know, as far as the property values go, yes, you know, Center Street is worth $205,000. The building is, you know, about 170,000 or 160, 170,000 of that. That being said, if that building were to be sold to a, you know, private individual or entity, it would need to undergo a change of use in order to be, you know, used for anything that's not a fire station. So it would be required to pass building and fire inspections for a certificate of occupancy, and at this point the building would not pass the fire portion alone without significant financial investment that may end up being a better deal for someone to buy the property, remove the building, and build a brand new building, just in terms of actually, you know, utilizing that space for, you know, a non-fire department use.
Have we got any word back on the historical value question yet?
Yes, so I sent an email out to the commissioners earlier. So, as long as we're not using the federal funds to demolish the building, we don't have to comply. There's no requirement for a historical review, because the building is not on the historic register. That's from the state historical office people.
Is that only because it's owned by the fire district? Would it be a different situation under, you know, private ownership?
I didn't ask that question, so I don't know. I don't think the rules, the federal rules change for municipalities like.
Well, I know there was.
I don't know the answer to that question.
I know there was discussion over whether or not the fire district is required to adhere to building codes in general. So I wasn't sure if
Yes.
for similar reasons, it may not require the, historic evaluation only because it's owned by the district.
It's a federal regulation, it's 106, section 106 of the, I forget which chapter or what it is, but they don't care whether it's a municipality or a private owner in that regard.
So does the commission have any, I mean, you were in, the commissioners were in discussion with the Board of Selectmen. Was there any conversation about the selectmen or the select board signing this property over to the fire district without going through a public hearing first?
I wouldn't see how they could, do that. I really couldn't. I mean, what gives them the authority to do that?
Was there any discussion about it?
No.
Okay.
The discussion we had was very targeted to a land swap with the stipulation that the land we would be giving them would be building removed and paved over.
Okay.
So we never talked about in detail, as the committee has a plan B, well, what happens if we can't tear the building down and give you the property? That was not discussed. And it was felt that it was mutually beneficial for both the fire district and the town. They were going to get parking, and
Sure.
they were going to make that property available.
They first talked about leasing it for $1. That's what they wanted to do. And to me, that's not right. I mean, we should own it. We have to own it. The other thing they just kind of threw out, we'll swap even as long as you tear that down and pave it. That's basically all and that's as far as it really got. I mean, there was a couple other things brought up. I mean, they were minor things but I think, with it, during the meeting, and there again, I weren't at the meeting, but somebody brought up, the voters voted for that land as long as the kids could have a place to play football and stuff. That was one of the things, and I don't know if people will come back and say, hey, you guys, this is what we offered, and now you're changing it.
Right.
The other thing I'm concerned about is Northfield. You can tell them whatever you want. You're going to save them $100,000, $200,000, but money is not worth a life. If you're going, you're quite a ways out there, so you have to contend with that with Northfield.
That brings up another point, and this is something that really kind of eats at me, because I was sitting at that very table when we voted on the communication tower. And one of my concerns was how that was going to affect any building that was to be put on that lot. And I recall pushing the question of what is that footprint going to look like and how is it going to affect the lot. And I was told that footprint would be what it is and that the rest of the lot would be unaffected. Well, what we see now is high-tension electric lines bisecting the lot, which essentially make that lot unbuildable because that's really has me in a high-speed wobble. It's not just the high-tension electric lines, it's also a high-pressure natural gas line that goes right through the center of the lot. And it basically makes it such that we can put 2.5 you can add 2.5 bays to the existing building. This is the pole, and this is the underground electric line. This is the general area of the underground natural gas line, but this is the pad transformer. We're only allowed now to put 2.5 bays on that building with that electric line there. And that is not an unaffected footprint. And that, that basically bisects that property.
There's also a current line that goes,
Electricity,
yes, underground that goes to the current building from here, this way. This is the current building?
this is the
And
current
it
building.
goes,
That's-
Gas line?
gas line goes, another one goes around back this
So
way.
this is electricity?
Yes.
So the thing about electricity is you can move it inside such that your service can enter here. So that, moving an electric service is not as big a deal as moving a high tension electric line, that's underground. So, basically what we've done now is we've taken that lot and we've essentially removed 1/3 of it from being buildable. And that's the kind of, that is not the intention of, that was not my intention when I voted, sitting in those very chairs, for this communication tower to go here. It was my intention that this lot would remain buildable for a station. And now, I don't know what it would cost to move that high-tension underground service, but that's now an additional cost that we may have to look at if, Park Street is. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah, so I'd like to just add another point there. According to Lorero, we cannot add an addition to the Park Street building or add a new building on the property that exceeds more than 50% of the existing value of the building without bringing the current Park Street building up to the new codes that were adopted, I believe, one or 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that remains unconfirmed. Further, in the beginning of the budget.
There was only doubt from one individual as to whether or not.
That's right, it's me.
No, Lisa said she didn't trust it because of what they said the load-bearing, snow-bearing weight was for the trusses.
So in the beginning, this building committee and the tower deal, I think the tower was in a different place. And we asked as a committee to back it down, keep that site as buildable as possible. And I think they moved it some.
Yeah, we moved it, if you look at the property line, the tower was gonna go in the right, from the street, the right rear corner, kind of like in the DPW area that, behind where the gas tanks used to be.
So it moved from the street left and back.
Yes, that, per the request of the building committee and
So
commissioners.
that request was granted, and then somewhere along the line, someone said, nah, you know what, right through the middle. With the, who and why would you do that? Don't make any sense. Would you tell them to keep away from our building site? Then it's like, okay, put the lines right through the middle of it.
Which really has no bearing at this point because they're where they're at and they do affect the building if the building goes down there. So I mean, It shoulda, coulda, woulda all day long, but it doesn't change the fact where they are right now.
Where does accountability come in?
I mean, at this point, I think there are questions as far as both potential sites that the committee is examining as to feasibility of actually putting a new station there, whether it's, you know, viability of the land swap and, you know, confirmation, you know, from Lorero as to what we could do on Park Street without being required to bring the existing building up to code, because that is where a significant amount of the estimated cost of Park Street comes from.
The committee, did we not ask, or you were gonna follow up with Jeannie Forrester here at the town?
Yes.
To get more
and
information?
They're meeting on Thursday to discuss this.
This week, Thursday?
I believe that's what she stated to me, yeah. I can.
That's the next meeting, they meet the first and the third Thursday.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's this Thursday. So, it may be,
I don't know if they have that in non-public or not, I don't know.
maybe a commissioner or the commission should attend that meeting to help.
I thought that was the idea, that we wanted to sit down with the board of selectmen. Where's the town? Thursday. There it is.
$1,600, right?
I can look on the website.
Yeah, I'll look it up, no worries.
Our next meeting, October 5th.
Thursday, is it?
Yeah, it's 4:45. October 5th is Thursday.
Right.
So they don't have it specifically listed on there.
No, it's, I think it's, I do that.
No, they don't, because
On their website, on their agenda.
they just had a non-public.
1,300, 1,500.
But I don't know.
It's what the rest of the world uses.
Well, I can try to
Is
attend
Park
that
Street,
meeting.
that's,
Try to, if we attend that meeting, then we have
that's,
to post
the
that.
circles are 5 minutes.
Right?
If more than one of you goes.
These are the
Well,
percentage of
one
calls
from-
that are
yeah.
within that,
What?
within that
I was
district.
thinking, well, one from Tilton, one from Brookfield.
Okay, yeah, so,
And
That's not gonna
so
work.
it's not representative of the calls in the circle, it's just,
Well, we just want to send
these
So
are
the
the
circle-
calls, these are the calls in the
That's the
circle.
question.
no, so Village
Those are the-
District
I
is the
think,
entire.
do we need
I think the
to
best thing
Right.
for them to do is meet with
And-
us
I can check.
Yes, yes it
on
is.
our,
The blue section
No.
is the Village
No, the
District.
village
No, the
district
village
is
is the yellow.
Oh, no, sorry, the West Village District.
West of the
And so
village
right-
is the blue.
Right, but my,
See where the river is here?
So do we want to
That's
ask them if
Tilton,
we can meet?
that's
Is this enough
Northfield,
time
so
to
it's-
post?
Northfield, that's 11% of our calls is this giant.
They may not get
It's
any
enough
Right,
for me
right.
to
My
post,
point
yes,
was,
but Gina won't be
oh,
back
it's
until
not,
Thursday.
it's not that 23% of the calls
Is-
are
is that-
within this circle,
No,
it's
that's-
that they're within the entire district.
Yeah, so we,
Yeah.
on our census tracts, when we
When is
enter the
the
data into the New
selectmen's
Hampshire
next
ESR,
The
which is our
19th.
NIFRS, we only have 5 districts, so we only have the ability to break it up to this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do have a district
Well,
for 93, but
I
it's
guess,
less than 1% of calls. And then we also
My
have a
take on
district
the
for mutual
selectmen
aid.
is
That's why
that we
mutual aid is
have a
7%.
understanding
Is that,
So my,
Yeah.
that
so my
obviously
point,
the
my
lawyers will
point
need to
made
make sure the
is don't
verbiage
lose
is
track
proper.
of the fact that
And,
if you look
and that
at
will
Park
impact
Street
how
in
it
the
appears
center,
on
the
the
entire
Tilton warrant
village
and
district
on the
is within Park
fire
Street, 5
district
minutes.
warrant. And
Yes,
that there's
but-
not really,
11% of the calls are below.
the only thing
Below the
is,
river,
if it
which
has to go
means
amongst the
11
town
to
of
5%
Tilton,
are
they
in
vote it
this
down,
quadrant.
that's it.
which
Keep
means,
this 26%.
which means,
And I guess I
penciled ones
concur
are
with Dennis,
EMS
that I can't
calls,
imagine that they would
typed
vote it
ones.
down.
I,
The printed
I-
ones.
We
are
broke it
full.
down to 321 and 300.
but
I
my
don't think
point-
they would
My
either,
point
but-
is, yes, the entire village district
you never know.
is
We got Kevin over
within
here
Park
with his
Street,
hand up.
Yes.
but
I'm
more than
sure
50% of the
Yeah.
village district calls are within the other one.
Yes. Okay.
We're
Is
talking
there
over
anything
the
else you
thing, I'm
want from
sorry.
us? Was there anything you wanted to add, Tim?
I guess just from, again, last night's meeting and then thinking about it, and then again, the discussion here, I don't think that we should use the arrangement with the town of Tilton to hold up the process. I think that the committee has made a recommendation to the commissioners, and the commissioners need to answer, to have answered a couple other questions that we brought forth the last time, but we need to move forward. I think the thing we have to keep remembering is that the commissioners created the current committee to move forward with coming up with a proposal for a station, and at that time it was at Park Street. And that committee, the commissioners have changed the goal here, or the charge, by adding the Sanborn Road, but the charge is to move forward with proposing a fire station. So, last night we got marred in the mud of response times and different groups in the community and who would vote for what, and wishing we had the crystal ball. But I think we have to keep remembering that the charge was to come forward with the station, and the building committee has made a recommendation to the commissioners.
If I might add one thing, and I don't know if it's pertinent or not, we signed a contract with Lorero for them to deliver for this district meeting. If we end up pushing it off a year, I don't know if that changes the contract. I asked, I called one of the representatives today, but they weren't able to get back to me on answering that question. It may or may not. The amount of work should be the same no matter what the date is, but I don't know. We signed a contract with them, so.
So what happens, we've signed a contract with them, we owe X amount of dollars, and it goes to town meeting, it gets voted down, we've lost everything.
We've done that several times. That's
And,
what the
and,
is.
and believe me, I really truly think you're gonna have a struggle. I do. I hate to say it, but I think the land purchase is a good idea. If we can switch and swap, that's a great idea. But I think you're gonna find a lot of people that are gonna be disappointed. And there are gonna be some even in Tilton.
But that land swap only occurs if the fire station is built on that property. If the fire station is not built on that property, the fire district doesn't get the land.
Well, who's to say you can't buy the land or swap the land?
You don't get the land if there's no fire station being built on it.
Listen, yeah, but let me finish. Who's to say if we'll swap, we'll get something in writing, we'll swap, when the time comes, whether we build a station down there or a substation up there, you can still have something in writing, say you'll do that.
What's the contract that was signed with the Board of Selectmen on that, the purchase and sales agreement, or whatever the contract was on that first piece of property? What's the
There
agreement?
was no signature.
We don't have
We
a
never
signed
signed anything.
contract. We
Okay,
have an agreement.
so
It was hearsay.
what's the agreement? That in order for the land swap to occur, there has to be a station built on it?
I don't think that, I had never heard that. Alls I heard is we'll swap. I never heard fire station on it.
I think.
They assumed that.
I think the intent of the selectmen, this is only my thoughts, is that if there was a land swap, the conditions, that there probably would be a fire station erected on Sanborn Road. But
if
that's
there's-
what I think. We'd
Right.
have to ask them.
Well, that's very much what I think, that they were making 2 point whatever acres available for
for the fire department to use to build the station, and in exchange, we would give them that property with the building removed and paved over.
Well, if there's a station built on Park Street and nothing built on Sanborn Road, and we still give them that property,
Well, we don't have an arrangement for that.
no. Well, what you just said fulfills that, right? If,
No, if we build on, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we build down on Park Street, we don't have an arrangement with the,
We own that
District
still.
retains ownership of Center Street.
but what I just heard was that the arrangement was there would be a land swap if the building down here was torn down and paved over.
They offered us that.
that was because we built a fire station up here in Sanborn Road.
But what if we don't build it there? What if we build it on Park Street instead? But they still get a paved
That's
over.
that's not the
No,
arrangement.
no, they're not
They
gonna
get
say
We
that.
didn't discuss that at all.
No, nothing.
Not that we couldn't.
So-
just we
I mean, right, that could be discussed, but that was not what was discussed.
Will they sell it to us outright?
That didn't seem to be, they didn't seem to favor that. Now, I'm not so certain that they wouldn't, but
Because it's got restrictions, it can't be used. for
originally,
anything.
they wanted to retain ownership of the land, and the commissioner said, no, we want to own it. If we're going to build on it, we want to own it. And they agreed to it, and that's where the,
I mean, they can't sell it to Tanger for commercial use. There's restrictions on that land.
it's
what they
municipal
put.
use only,
So,
whether it's a pickleball court or a fire station.
whatever it is, yeah.
Yep.
So unless they are
So,
gonna
so
use it for a football.
we never
field
had
or
a
whatever.
conversation about if we build a fire station down at Park Street, do you wanna buy the Center Street fire station?
Nothing was brought up.
And we didn't talk about that, that was not discussed.
So I would just like to make the point that although verbal contracts are legally binding in New Hampshire, it's probably worth getting the land swap in writing just to make sure there are no
Well,
Lack of
they're
clarity.
not in a position where they can just do that without, you know, they have to seek legal, we have to seek legal, and then the voters have to approve it. So it's not like we can have it written.
The voters actually don't have.
no,
to
but you obviously have to draft it
Select-
before it's voted on.
Well, that's why I kind of wonder what, I mean, I don't understand the,
I believe
The
the
whole
town,
point-
I believe the town of Tilton is. has
no,
a
no, I
current-
haven't asked the question yet.
I'm anticipating when I think another question.
No, Jane does that to me. I don't understand what the disconnect, thinking that the town, I mean, where's the disconnect about the land swap? I mean, where is it that, who's so concerned that we're gonna, you know, the district is gonna get hornswoggled by the town of Tilton? I don't understand it. I mean, like we just said, with all the legal stuff, there's no way a municipality's gonna, you know, screw another municipality, like, oh, well, that deal was, that was verbal, we're
We're all
not.
the same group of
Yeah,
people.
I mean,
I don't think there was any intentions of that. All they want to do is swap, and I have no problem. They want to give us that land, we'll swap. I'd swap even. But it don't mean we're going to build a fire station there today, tomorrow, whatever. It could be 10 years, it could be next year. We never mentioned that.
why is this district even thinking, why, as you as a commissioner, I haven't heard the other commissioners say it, why, I mean, do you feel that the district's in a position to become property owners? I mean, why are we looking to buy land that we have no intent?
Maybe
This is a fire facilities
Let me
committee.
put it this way, what in the future, maybe 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you need another station. You got the land up there.
Right, and I'll tell you right now, and that's,
We're
and
trying to do that
I'll be,
now, though.
I'll be honest, look at where we've been in, what, 25 years?
I understand.
Okay, and this is where I will
I've been here a little longer than you have.
disagree. That's fine. Disagree. No, the new station thing has been what, since probably a little bit after '86, right? They built that in '86 down on Park Street.
Yep.
Okay, what the conversation was, I don't know. I was gone from here in '86, so yes. But the point is, you're talking, and I keep hearing you invoke Northfield. I understand that you're a resident of Northfield. I'm a resident of Tilton. And here again, for every time that you say you're going to have a hard time getting this through Northfield, you know what? Think about the Tilton residents as well, Paul. You know what? You're going to tell us, with the track record that this district has with fire facilities committees and wasting time and money year after year on facilities committees, that the town of Tilton's going to say, you know what? Sure. we'll build all this down there, we'll spend an ungodly amount of money down there, because that figure that's on the site work is a rough estimate, because there may be a lot of stuff that we get into down there that we don't know about. So there's that unknown. But that's an unknown, just like what the voters actually think. We can sit here and try to guess what everybody's going to do. And I'm gonna throw one of my guesses out that as Tilton residents are gonna say, oh, sure, we'll do it all down there. Let's move all the operations. Let's put the entire Tilton Northfield Fire District in Northfield, and trust that the Northfield residents can say, sure, we'll build in another 2 years. The last 25 years have not proven that that's going to be the case. So that's what I'm telling you. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. It's really, honestly, in my opinion, it's a cultural thing. And I'll tell you it is a cultural thing, and I'm not going to argue about it, because Tilton does not sell T-shirts at their town hall that says 03276, not Northfield. Keep that in mind.
The only other thing I would want to say about the conversation we had with the selectmen and the arrangement that we agreed to was that, as the chief indicated, their first response was to lease us the property. Happy to lease us the property for $1. And so the indication that we should just buy the property from them, I don't know that. From the conversation, in my opinion, there's any incentive for Tilton to sell that property if we're not going to put a station on there. Why would they? Why would they sell that to the fire department? Now, if the fire department came back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, wanted to put a station there and the land was still available, I still think Tilton would make it available. The problem I see is 10 years from now, there might be something else on that property and it's no longer available for a fire station. But I think right now, the consensus in the town of Tilton is that, yeah, we need to do something about the fire station, and if that's where you think a good location for a fire station is, we're happy to be on board and help out make that property available. Because the town of Tilton is struggling with parking downtown, and so having that property for parking is a win for town of Tilton.
Well, they just lost half that lot.
Right.
So I guess I have a question as far as opposition to leasing. If it were to be a 100-year lease, you're then not paying property taxes.
You're not paying property taxes anyway.
You don't pay property taxes anyway.
If there's a fire station up there, it doesn't really matter who owns the property, whether it's the fire district or the town, because it doesn't impact anybody either way. I mean, granted, you would want to own the property, but...
Well, it's still the idea of, like, 100 years later, you're no longer responsible for any of the, cleanup or demolition of the, structure that is past its lifespan. I mean, when Northeastern University has, dorm buildings worth tens of millions of dollars that are built on properties that are, leased to them for 100 years from neighboring schools who did not have the need or ability to develop.
I think the difference is the property is owned by the community. It's the same people owning the property. If there's a liability, it's the same group of people that are responsible for it.
Well, technically, if the district leased it, only the Tilton residents would be responsible for whatever the, eventual cleanup of that is. So the Northfield residents would not be on the hook for, those future costs.
I think it's important for the Northfield residents to be on the hook. I think we are a community, we are a village, we're a village district. That's what this is called, a village district. We're in it together. That's my feeling. Paul, I guess what we'd like to do is get some more guidance from the commissioners as far as what you want our next step to be.
Let me ask you, I got thinking the other night there, they want 8 bays, which it would probably cost more, but I think it would stand better chances. What if you build a place down there to house firefighters and maybe an office or two, and then build a station up here? That way, we're gonna have 4 guys, there's no doubt we'll have 4 guys this year. 2 guys down there, 2 guys up here.
Well, that's one of the things that we'll look at, and so will you.
And that would, to me, that would solve, everybody would be happy then.
Yeah.
On the same page with you.
Yep.
That's what I thought the
Can't
original
we do
intent
that
was
with
a
the
while
new
ago.
station
I mean,
there and the existing building
The
at
existing
Park
building, you
Street?
wouldn't have to touch it if you didn't add on to it. You could build a building next to it.
No, but why does, if we're building a new station, why do we need to do anything to Park Street to have 2 personnel there?
That way you have an active,
You have to have
active
sleeping quarters and
engine and
living quarters.
ambulance there.
I mean, you can't let them be down there for,
That way they can respond.
Doesn't the district own the DPW building down there? So couldn't that be
The
rented?
district does not, town of Northfield does.
I always thought that would be about the best way it would ever pass, but
Well, it's very possible that it will, and that's one of the things that if you give us that guidance, if you want us to look at 2 stations, we will. And if that's the point of the arrow, if you want us to focus on that, we will. But we
It's the
need,
same plan I had 4 years ago.
we need to look at the space needs study from Lorero. We all have questions about, the number of bays and the size of the bays and et cetera. But if that's what you guys want us to do, that's what we'll do, by all means, without question.
So-
But
so-
just give us guidance.
Paul, your thought is that if you propose a 2-station solution, you'll get buy-in from both.
I think people would be happy to see that myself. Now, there again, you want 8 bays, you've got 4 down there. I don't know how many you actually need. Do you need a full 8 bays? Could you get by with 3 up here?
We have 7 major pieces of equipment. Now, the rest are, support vehicles that are smaller that I don't believe require an 18 by 39 bay. Remember, everything we have now
Is on the-
fits
yeah.
in what we're in right now. So, certainly, more space will be advantageous, but 8 bays, I've said it before, up there, that's way overkill as far as I'm
It's
concerned.
gotta be 4 though, like 2.
4 fronts, double, yeah.
I'm thinking 8, in my head, all of a sudden, something's going by that you're going 8 feet wide.
Paul, I thought about the same thing, and boy, you and
I
I
think
are finally coming in online on the same idea.
I thought about it the other night, and I think people would be happy to
No,
know
we
they
talked
had.
about this before. That was the whole intent, I thought, years ago.
It was, so I,
Well, but we kept running into staffing it. And we gotta get over that, because guess what? We ain't got
This year,
fire.
we're gonna- Yeah, there'll be another 2 guys, so you have 4 guys around the clock.
And I'll be honest with you, I brought up this like race to March because, like I said earlier, we've been throwing good money after bad
I agree.
on these for years. This is what the 3rd iteration of a committee that we've actually spent money on researching this stuff, and it's that's my point. It's like, why are we always racing to the district meeting? And like I suggested, it's like, okay, let's actually drill down and look at the actual needs. I mean, we're looking at, okay, so we're coming up with all these numbers to build buildings. We don't know where we're gonna build the damn building, which is gonna change things, but, let's actually take a good look at what we really wanna put in a heated building undercover. And go from there, and again, like I thought the plan years ago was to like retrofit Park Street to accommodate, overnight firefighters along with a news station. I mean, Christ almighty, 45 Sandman Road and 149 Park Street would definitely cover what you're looking for calls and stuff there. If you've got 2 personnel that could roll out in an ambulance.
Yeah, look at it this way, I mean, yeah, 2 guys, I mean, with 2 up there and 2 down here, it would be, so you needed help, at least you got 2 guys started.
Could I ask a favor of you 2 gentlemen? Our next meeting is October 23rd, Monday. Would you join us and discuss what you just discussed in front of our committee?
I'd be more than
I'd
happy.
be more than happy to, because it's been my thought, right along.
I've always thought.
Optimally, we'd love to be under one roof. I don't think it's feasible. We got two communities with a river down the road, and 40 years ago, I'd have said, yeah, we probably could have come up with something, but there, are varying opinions.
So-
The other thing you gotta remember, for many years, we provided fire support to Eastern Tilton.
Right.
That got closed down, because they couldn't support it anymore.
Right.
Northfield continues to grow residentially, Tilton continues to grow commercially, and,
So-
you gotta come up with a plan. I think we're destined to be a two-station community.
So you
to
two
get it to
guys
happen.
bring a
I
perspective.
believe even if it costs more, they would go along with it.
Okay. The thing is you two bring a perspective that we need on the committee, because we have two firemen on the committee that are not participating, that are not showing up to the meetings. We need participation from the fire department. And if you two can come to that meeting and discuss this, it will provide context to the group, which I think is what we need. So October 23rd, if you don't mind.
Again, I represent my own opinion, not
That's
the
fine.
opinion of the department.
That's
and,
fine.
I have purposely stayed away from these committees because I was on several in the past. None of those got approved. I stepped back to say, hey, look, maybe we need a new perspective.
Right.
And somebody else can do it because, like I
And
say,
your personal perspective is what I'm looking for as well.
Okay.
Because, Sean, did you?
I don't want to,
Yeah,
I have a question. I just, on October 23rd,
Yeah.
is the intention to discuss having two men at each station?
No, it's to discuss everything in general.
Oh, okay.
It's
I didn't know where the two people here and two people there are going. It's a,
No, it's to
It's a-
discuss the building. The building, it's
Okay.
a building committee meeting. That's our next meeting
I
at
would
5:30.
certainly do that with the chief's blessing.
So just to jump on your comment, Paul, would it be possible to have new firefighters assigned to the committee, given that the current ones?
I've been told that the current ones are willing to join us. They're just struggling with their schedules. So my intention is to give them the opportunity to prove.
They've missed the majority of
Well,
meetings
let's-
since I joined.
let's
Would it
see.
make sense to have firefighters with
Let's
more
see.
availability?
Let's see how they do over the next couple to 3 or 4 meetings, and if they don't participate, then I agree, we'll look at replacing them. Okay, thank you, Paul, thank you, Mike.
So since you're gonna have two commissioners at that meeting, I'll post it as a joint meeting,
Okay?
because it'll be a majority.
Actually, I will not be at that
He
Oh, you
will not
won't?
be there. That's right.
meeting. I will not be at that meeting.
Take it right off my calendar.
Okay. I won't have to post it as a joint
There you go.
meeting.
Okay,
Anybody else got anything?
so the guidance from you guys is to keep plugging.
Yeah.
And we're aiming for this year, or we're taking a step back?
I guess my question is, do we need to decide that right now?
No, don't need to.
Because I would like to keep moving, but if it becomes apparent in the coming weeks / month or two that we
No,
can't get there,
I'm good.
See about Thanksgiving.
we make that decision at that time.
I mean,
I say that.
ideally, we would have an update from Lorero and the Tilton, selectmen for both sites by the next meeting, as far as
I don't
feasibility.
think you, I personally, I'll keep saying, I don't think you need to worry about the agreement with the town of Tilton, because if you want to own that piece of property before you move forward, that is not gonna happen. There's no way that the town of Tilton could sell the fire department that piece of property tomorrow.
I think all we need is
So-
a draft agreement that
if
stipulates
you're
it.
waiting for that to happen, it's not gonna happen. And if you want an assurance that it's going to happen, we all agreed to the conditions. Obviously, there's a lot of pieces to make that happen, but I don't think that either party sees that there's any problem with making that happen. So again, if the committee's gonna use that as a stalling tactic or a concern, I think that's.
It's not been a concern
misplaced.
until 2 meetings ago.
Yeah, I think that's.
It's never been a concern of mine.
I would personally be fine not having an agreement and moving forward with,
I mean, we'll
planning if the
continue
commission were to
discussions with
select
Town
that.
of Tilton, but obviously things need to be written up in legalese and.
So would you spend money on design for Sanborn Road?
I would, because we have done it in the past. We have had committees, I mean, look at Tilton School property. I mean, money was spent putting together all those designs on a piece of property that we didn't own.
Did we learn anything from that?
Have we ever done
We
designs
learned
for
at
a
the
property
time
we
that-
did own?
I mean, the same thing happened with the other design. I mean, money
Manville
was
Road.
spent putting a proposal together for Manville Road that we didn't own.
Sanborn Road also.
Yeah, and Business Park Drive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of Business Park Drive, yeah.
Just lost my train of thought. I was gonna ask something.
The fact that the
I don't
municipality of
think, I
Tilton
don't think
owns
there's
it.
a whole lot of money to be spent on a conceptual floor plan or maybe a couple elevations in that, in the design of that. I mean, of course, you do have to spend some money to get those, but until you actually determine this, I mean, they have the space needs study, and I'm making copies for all the, big copies for all the committee members so they can read them. But until that's finalized, it's I mean, really, the only question we're really looking at is how many bays.
They're
The
doing no
safe-
schematics until the space needs study is
Yeah.
finalized, right?
They haven't done, they're on hold right now.
Right.
They're not doing anything until we give them direction. So, we haven't given them any direction, so they're kind of like in hold. They thought they were gonna have direction a couple weeks ago when the commissioners met to discuss the recommendation from the building committee. So,
I think one of the questions that has to be discussed is 2 stations, well, what does that add to the cost? Ballpark, because when you have 2 stations, you're gonna need 2 kitchens and
Double everything.
double all.
Double your operating cost, double your FF&E, double
So
your.
going back to Paul's comment, which I certainly appreciate, but do we, even if it costs a little more to have the 2 stations, you do pull in a group of people who, and I'm not gonna vote for it if it's over there and vice versa, but that goes back to one of the other questions that we keep asking is how much can the taxpayers afford? And now all of a sudden, does it go from, this much money to this much money?
Right.
And is
Yeah,
it?
but we're talking housing, just a housing unit for a couple of guys down there. We don't have to be, it don't have to be a big station. The station's there already. You don't have to touch that. You can design this so it's a little smaller.
I can, when we had the Manville Road, Park Street proposal, the proposal to bring Park Street up to code with the 4 bays in the front and the living area in the back was not quite $2 million.
So that was bringing the existing building up to code, which is something
Yes.
we've not talked about here.
Which, if we were to do significant renovations to that building, adding living quarters, we would have to.
Was that increasing the size of the building, or was it all fitting in the building?
I believe, so I'm trying to remember the design, the footprint stayed the same, except they did add a hose tower. And they lifted the roof on one side to create a shed roof for all the mechanicals and everything else because the floor space was too valuable to take up with mechanical systems and stuff like that. So it was like a shed roof on one side, like a cape sideways design, not for the whole length, but for like the back left corner looking from the street. I believe that's how that design went.
So with that being said, you kept the 3 bays that were there.
Kept the 4 bays in the front, basically cut the building in half. The 4 bays in the front stayed. Everything behind the 4 bays was turned into living space.
And there was no building addition.
The only addition was a hose tower, which was like 10 by 20.
We wouldn't necessarily need those at 2 locations, would we?
No.
Because I disagree that everything is doubled, especially when you say like FF&E. No.
You say
I
that
mean,
was
we're
how
not gonna
much?
put
a
a
couple-
I
command.
think it was 1.9, that part of the project. And the Manville Road at 14,000 square feet was approximately 5 million. And the land was donated. $500,000 of that, $5 million, was bringing the water line from in front of the hotel all the way.
Do you still have that proposal for Park Street? The
Yes, I think I've even passed it out to the building committee prior, but I can dig it up again.
okay.
Anything else?
So I guess what I'd like to do at our next building committee meeting is review that and then see what the building committee thinks about this proposal, this potential proposal. Because I really like that idea. And then see about moving forward in that direction, and maybe giving you guys guidance, further guidance, so that you can tell the railroad, look, let's either do 1 station or potentially 2 stations, and maybe use these plans as a schematic, a foundation for new layout of Park Street. Okay. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Thank you, guys. Sorry we took up so much of your meeting,
That's all.
but this is important.
I think we all want to get to a point where the voters vote yes.
Right, exactly. That's where I want to be.
Again, if anybody has any questions relating to data about where we go and why we go to certain places, response times, all that kind of stuff, I've been working on
That's
that
right, it was before. That's
quite a
the
bit
plans.
over the last 2
That's what-
weeks, so
yeah.
I've developed quite a bit of data.
Never get on emails.
Population,
Can you send
you name
that
it,
to my email?
population trends, where calls are, where they aren't.
I found my email that has a sketch of a floor plan for Park Street and what the costs were.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Could you send that to me?
How'd you find that so fast?
I never get rid of emails. 2019. 19.
Send it there.
Kevin's trying to find the one he got this morning.
Yesterday.
Can you send it there? Eric?
It was, I was actually with the chief, 118, 19.
Can you send it there?
Yeah.
Make sure you put the dash in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tea salad.
as we discussed that, chief's report.
All right, so
That's
Yes.
tea salad.
you guys still doing stuff, or you want me to go?
Just to let you know that, according to the chairman of the selectmen, we're not on their agenda. No, she asked if we need to be.
This is what I got from Jeannie, no, let me go back to my email from Jeannie. I think she was gonna ask a question, not necessarily,
Okay. I just didn't know, well, they meet again before the 23rd, so give us a little things.
she's, the question she was gonna ask was about a easement for the water line from the fire hydrant that's in front of the police station, instead of taking water from the new part. That's the question she was asking. It wasn't about a different proposal on purchasing or anything like that. But-
Can we ask, can you follow up with her and ask her if, I don't know what's the right verbiage or what?
You want, the commissioners want to get on the agenda to discuss the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we won't be able to do that for this week, because we'll have to post it, unless I go by
There's
myself.
enough time to post
Yeah, there's enough time to post it.
it on both sides. Oh, they only have to post, we only have to post it for you guys.
You know, Tim, if you want to go, I mean,
Yeah, I'll go.
I won't be able to go Thursday, so.
I'll
yeah,
go.
yeah, why don't you, I mean, you bring the information back.
I won't be able to go.
Or when I get out, look it up.
Right.
Moving along?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Regarding first part of my report is about the budget. Again, the audit for the 2022 has occurred, and we're still waiting the final documentation for everybody's signature. The 2023 budget, we've expended 72.1% of that budget so far, and we are 75% through the fiscal year. Total apparatus and equipment fund balance through September is $844,429.36. And ambulance revenue so far this year is $394,866.28.
Is that more than last year?
I didn't compare it to last year. I was barely able to get this stuff together today. It's going to be close. We had more transports to this date last year than we did this year so far.
We had more transports last year.
So, to this date, yes. To the end of the month, I should say. So I'm gonna say it's in the ballpark.
Would there be stuff from previous months, like say July, that
So,
we haven't been paid for
Last
yet?
year
Oh,
it
yeah.
was $383,484.40
So we're more.
Yeah, it's more,
on ambulance revenue.
about 10 grand more.
Yep.
Okay.
For the year?
573,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep.
We did not use a fire hydrant in September. Fire prevention report, there were 62 fire prevention inspections during the month of September. The information is included in your report. Any particular questions? The deputies here can answer them.
Mm-hmm.
Just got it.
Let me pull that up.
Where are they at up at the pavilion? Anchorage.
Oh, the preserve. It's not even the preserve anymore. They're getting a new name. I was just there yesterday and did a site visit with the engineer / architect. They have an A, a B, and a C. I think they're calling it. So there's a firewall with a fully wood structure on the right. The middle section is wood and concrete till the first floor, and then wood after that. And the third section is a post and beam wedding venue. So they're almost done. They're going to be weather tight on section A, which is the far right, closest to the old boathouse. they'll probably be weather tight with that within about 2 weeks. They're just waiting on their fascia has crown molding. We could get into deepen, but they're a couple weeks they'll be weather tight there. Then they'll move to the next section. So they're moving along. There's a ton of work to be done, but there's a ton of people working there. Every time you go there, there's trucks and people moving everywhere. I knew it was going to be big, but it's going to be big.
They were working on the road today, right on the edge of the
Yeah.
Laconia Road today, so I think they're gonna be,
They're doing a lot of work with DOT on that berm to get the drainage right and get DOT approval. And as soon as they get DOT approval, they're going to be laying down base coat of pavement because they're having trouble with rutting and stuff from like the tractor trailer deliveries and stuff like that. But I think they're on time for, I believe they're on time frame of July, August next year. You know, a lot can change between now and August, but there, I mean, there is a lot of people working there every day. So
Boy, that seems real aggressive.
hmm The post and beam is supposed to be delivered. It was supposed to be delivered this week. That could push back about 3 weeks, but they have to get that up because of something to do with they can't sit because it'll twist. I don't understand. So they have to be ready for it. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions on the fire prevention report?
And then Business Park Drive, they look like they're nearly ready to open.
Yeah, they're it's almost ready. It's more fit up now from the kidney center themselves. All the building's complete. The sprinkler system's in, the fire alarm system's in, electrical in. You know, the ceiling's still open because they're running some. You know, I did the HVAC inspection. I think is what or their gas pipe. They should have fired the boilers now, and I'll do that final inspection during the CO. But I would think soon. I don't know how much kidneys. So when I last time I was there was none of the actual equipment for the kidney center wasn't there. But all the like the cabinets and all that stuff was there. So I don't know how long it takes to fit up the actual transfusion
dialysis
stuff.
machines.
Yeah, I don't know how long that stuff takes. If it was an office building, I'd tell you 2 weeks. Might be more than 2 weeks because there's more advanced stuff in there.
Thank you.
Things are still rocking off of Cross Mill Road.
I haven't been up there in 3 weeks, but I heard they're cruising. I heard now that Dwight has sold the property to the new owners, they're just smashing foundations in and going. I have not been. Last time I was there, I was impressed with how quickly the foundations have gone in, but I haven't been there in a couple weeks to see. I heard I got to go up there maybe tomorrow or the next day.
Is their hydrant operational yet?
Their hydrant has been operational.
Okay.
It has not been tested.
Tested, okay.
It has, but if we go there for weekend, there's 40,000 gallons of water.
Yeah, in the cistern at the top, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we do use that, we need to let them know so they can pump it out,
Yeah.
so it doesn't freeze.
Any other questions? All right, moving forward, the run report for September is included in the report. We had 188 incidents last month. 129 of those incidents were EMS, equating to 69% of the total call volume for the month. And the engine responded with the ambulance 50 times for EMS and MVA incidents. Okay?
Yep.
Overlapping calls, we had 96 overlapping calls last month, which is 51% of our total call volume. We received 6 mutual aid ambulance responses, 1 confirmed transport. We responded to 2 mutual aid requests with 1 transported. We received 1 mutual aid engine response, and we responded to mutual aid 5 times with our engine.
Well, why did we need 6 mutual aid ambulance responses?
Multiple calls. Apparatus, so engine 1 and engine 2 are both going to Dingy. One's for warranty work, one's for some many small repairs that need to be taking place. Tanker 1 has an air leak, which I think the building committee experienced when we were there last. The parts have been ordered and the parts should be
What do you do,
in.
blow an air can?
Yeah, they fixed it twice now. This is the 3rd time it's blown, so they ordered the whole can this time. Yeah, the judge just talked to Glenn. It's on that. Well, one of the 2 parts. It needs a part for a coolant, one of the parts is a national back order. So he's like, I'm not gonna hold your truck for 3 days, give it back and hold it. Because it's operational, it just needs to.
And the forestry had an engine issue, and that was repaired at Irving. Was with the coil
It was
packs.
they replaced the coal pack and the plugs and the wires. I don't know I don't know which part of it was, they just said that we replaced the 3 of those and the truck's running fine again, so.
Good. Any questions on that part? All right, the website, the new website, they're still making the final minor tweaks to the design to that. I've been working on that a lot, adding stuff into it. And it's pretty much kind of where we need it to be. We're still learning how to manipulate it and add stuff into it. But I guess the more I do it, the better I'll get at it.
So launch.
They're not done with it, so we can't watch. There's still some things that they need to complete. Sooner rather than later, because the initial launch date was supposed to be September 7th or something like that, but they haven't finished doing the tweaks that need to be done. Nothing's changed with the Central Maine cost recovery on that. I think we're kind of on hold until they get a better understanding of the personal privacy law and gaining information for insurances so that they can properly bill them. Grants, SAFER grant, we're up to date on reimbursements. I'll be putting in for another reimbursement this week sometime. Again, the Homeland Security grant for the radio system, still waiting on all the materials to come in for it to be thing. And the SAFER grant, they've awarded all the grants. We were not selected for a SAFER grant for this year, but it's not final because there are some municipalities that do not accept the grant that they were issued, and then they go on to a secondary list. I don't know where we are in that list, but I wouldn't be holding my breath for it because I know when I looked at the rubric that they used to award the grants, we did not score very highly in that because of our call volume and staffing and all that kind of stuff. It just
Well,
it
Chief,
didn't-
isn't it true typically with grants, if we gave you one, your chance of getting a second one's pretty slim. You know, we're moving on to somebody else.
Yeah, the thing is, when you get one of these SAFER grants, they expect you to assume the full responsibility of those folks at the end of the grant. They talk about it in every single session. There are some people that do get a continuation of a grant. They're very few and far between. They're usually big cities that have large layoffs on tap. I know some big cities that got some extensions. We don't fit any of their criteria for an extension, really. But it's still sitting there, and maybe there's a miracle. Moving on, Center Street, the new security and access control system is up and running. Really no problems currently. We had a few bugs in the beginning that we had to work out, but I think it's fine now.
Yeah,
It's
no
up
problem.
and running, it shouldn't. Park Street, the cell tower is operational. Everything's the same. The power was shut off to the radio shelter at Park Street, unbeknownst to us, for non-payment. We never got a bill.
We still haven't gotten it.
And the power is back on, but they're aware of where the bill's supposed to go now, and so the power should not be shut off. When that power was shut off, the emergency generator kicked on, then it died for low oil, and then the UPS ran for a certain period of time, and then that died. And when that died, there was the radio, the base station at Park Street ceased to work. So, but that's up and running now again. Hopefully we'll be getting the bill now, we can pay it and not have to worry about that.
The generator problem is resolved.
The company's been out to look at it, I don't know what the result of that was.
Radio generator, right?
Yes,
And it had low oil.
yes, it looked like it leaked out.
Oh,
So that's what it looked like from the outside, but I didn't tear it open. That's a
They're
generator.
responsible for it?
It should be under warranty.
Do you have any way of knowing that if the power would go out and the generator's running for
So we don't have a
days,
monitoring
days,
system.
days?
Yeah, so we don't have a monitoring system at Park Street yet, because I didn't have one installed yet, because it's somewhat costly to get installed, and then you have to pay the monitoring fee. We do have a monitoring system at the Shed Road site, which costs us, the monitoring fees yearly is somewhere around $1,400 or $1,500
A year?
a year.
I'll say if it's a month.
No, it's a year. And that also includes, servicing, and they come and they tweak all the electronics, everything. And a lot of it they can do remotely. So I'm going to look into that for Park Street now that we've already had one problem, and I want to see what it would cost to add that into the budget for next year. The next part of my report is, again, it's been on the report, what the safer effect is, and basically the average response time for second or more calls has gone from 22 minutes and 30 seconds down to an average of 7 minutes, 18 seconds. Cost of the safer firefighter in 2022, and of course I won't know in 2023 until we get the final auditing, so I can run those numbers, was 4 cents per thousand on the tax rate in Northfield and 7 cents per thousand on the tax rate in Tilton. We ran the Captain Promotional Assessment Center process, was conducted on September 21st. The results of the process will be announced shortly, probably before the end of this week. Attorney Fitzgerald was supposed to show up tonight. He had to go to, he had a medical appointment at Leahy down in Burlington, and he thought he'd be here, but he hasn't shown up yet, so maybe that's him.
Speak of the devil.
And,
Well, I'll try to walk up
yeah,
I keep looking.
Gonna move that TV.
Yeah, or put it on so that we know.
there. It's Paul, it's the wrong Paul.
yeah, it's the wrong Paul. When we do just sit down and discuss with them, we'll probably have to go into non-public for that because it involves the lawsuit with the water district. I also sent the commissioners an email about that a little earlier this week, saying that he'd be here. The things I'm currently working on, of course, is the operating budget for the 2024 budget and the apparatus improvement budget for 2024, as well as all the collecting data and all the questions that everybody's asking for the building committee, trying to make sure they have everything that they need data-wise, and those are the main things, really.
Well, you left out the last line.
Oh, yeah. I went to a meeting last week with the Health Trust, and they're expecting our insurance to go up, the health insurance to go up by 15.6% next year. Some municipalities are going up 25%. So it's a wide range, but we're in the January small group, and the January small group section is 15.6%.
Anybody got any questions?
All right.
The next budget workshop is the 17th.
That's correct.
And the actual budget committee is meeting on the 20th?
Correct.
That's you, right, Eric?
Yep.
Any questions for the chief? Hearing none, let's move on. Okay, old business, Attorney Fitzgerald, he's not here, so guess we should move on. New business, anybody got new business?
No.
Let's move on. Review of the minutes, 9/12/23 public. Everybody have a chance to read them?
I did mine.
Oh, it being 7 o'clock, I dismissed myself.
Good, you want?
You out of here,
Yeah.
We need to move them to the floor to discuss.
Well, you have some concerns
I have some questions.
on that one there,
Yeah.
9/12?
Yeah,
Public?
public, yeah. So, I move the minutes of the September 12th, 2023 meeting, Commissioners' meeting minutes to the floor for discussion.
Oh, wait, that's a, I'll second it, I'm looking at the 26th.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those minutes.
Okay, it's been moved and second.
I read the-
There's a lot of detail in here, and that's fine, and as I mentioned last night, the most recent minutes Courtney is doing a much better job with.
I've been tutoring.
Yes. And so it's been noted and appreciated. I had a question on what's page 3, new business, the Southwood Family Trust. And it says that the Southwood Family Trust Fund, we set, the dollar amount is $70,000. I don't think that's correct.
It's in that ballpark area.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
70-something thousand.
So it is that much?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
it's,
I misheard it then, because I thought that was substantially more than, okay. And then, that was my biggest concern.
Okay, let's do the, I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of 9/12/23 public as, huh?
it's written.
As written.
Second.
Then move in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's do the public meeting, 9/14/23.
I move the minutes of 9/14/23 Commissioners Meeting 2023. I do have a couple questions. I have a comment to make about them.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, this is where we were going over the operating budget, and, you know, at the beginning, and again, this is just semantics, I think, but each line item at the beginning, it says, after discussion of the rates, Commissioner Parra made a motion to fund the line, blah, blah, blah. It was seconded, there being no discussion, vote was taken, motion approved. Well, as you get farther into this, that first part of that comment is never made anymore. It just says, Commissioner so-and-so made a motion to fund this line, Commissioner so-and-so seconded, there being no discussion, vote was taken. It appears like we didn't talk about anything. And I think it's a verbiage thing, because each of those line items, you know, we did discuss, you know, what it was for, and to not put that in there indicates, if I was reading this, that we didn't discuss any of these budget line items, somebody made a motion and.
I think we discussed every one.
Right, but it doesn't
Yeah.
indicate that in the minutes. For a whole bunch of these, it's like, made a motion, no discussion, vote was taken. Well, we did discuss it. Some of them in more detail than others. Some of it was just clarification.
So you think it should say,
Well, the early ones say after discussion. or, you know, after review, some of them say that there was a question, and then the motion was made. I think there should be some indication in all of those that after discussion, a motion was made.
It looks like we didn't discuss anything.
Right, it just looks like nothing was discussed. We just made motions and didn't discuss it, and I know I'm being nitpicky, but if I was reading this, I'd go, you know, I'd expect Kevin to expect that we were discussing all these line items in the budget, and here it would indicate that we didn't.
Hey, Dad,
Did you write that up?
I think so.
Kathy?
She was getting tired as she got to page 2 and
She
3.
copy and pasted and then just went back and put,
Probably.
yeah, I think everything. No discussion. Vote taken, motion passed. Vote taken, motion passed.
And then if you look specifically at budget line 670, books and periodicals,
Yeah.
it's something, a line got deleted to it. Just, Commissioner Sattler made a motion to fund this line at $85, Commissioner Para, and that's where that's where it ends.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Commissioner Para, what? Did we approve it? Yes, we
You did.
We did, but anyway.
Well, so would you like to just throw those out and I'll redo them?
Yes, please.
Okay, I withdraw my motion on meeting minutes from September 14th, 2023.
I will fix those. That's an easy fix. So I get good type instructions.
So somebody want to make a motion? That Kathy's going to fix them?
Yeah.
Well, no, I just withdrew my motion to accept those minutes, so.
Draw my second.
Okay.
All right, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 26th, 2023 Commissioners Meeting minutes.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
Well, then I can go back into that. Those ones are just good.
Got any discussion on that one?
No. Eric's still reading.
I mean, I don't even know what page it is, but it says here that Commissioner Pyra asked if the DOT would allow access from Park Street. It was unknown. I thought that was a follow-up item for the chief.
That is a follow-up item.
So maybe it should be noted that the chief will look into this, or
We're reviewing the minutes of the September 26th meeting, and one of the items that we had asked was to look into curb cut. at
Yes,
Park Street.
I put that question to District 3, the DOT, New Hampshire DOT District 3, and they have not answered me yet.
Okay.
The, Jean was just confirming with Pat about Thursday night.
Right,
She
well,
doesn't think it'll be done.
okay. Well, let's finish the minutes.
and then like 2 lines below that it says Commissioner Pyra shared that he was concerned about the timeline, but it doesn't mention what timeline or.
I have no idea.
You
Oh, we were talking about.
It was just actually what we discussed this evening about
It was probably about the
meeting.
building,
Well, yeah, about meeting the, March,
the deadline.
the deadline for March.
Guess I should have read those too. Sorry.
It'll get better.
Well, it does state some things down here at the last paragraph.
You can actually read that.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all set?
Yeah, I mean, it says here, Commissioner Ozer stated that the commissioners should come to an agreement. On what?
I wasn't here at that meeting.
Oh, I know, but it'll be in the thing.
I know. Sorry, I was on vacation.
That's right. And then G.C. Tar stated that he could do some investigating. It just seems like it's like one sentence, one at a time.
Yeah, sometimes the minutes leave more questions than the answer as compared to just saying,
I don't know. I'd actually just.
these items were discussed.
I'd ask that these kind of be,
Fleshed a little more.
yeah, there's,
All right, so,
and it just says here, it says Commissioner Power asks if they should get on the selectmen's agenda.
what?
I don't know. It says that in the minutes.
All right, so.
It was about,
I'm assuming,
yeah,
yes.
but, so,
I didn't have time to prove it.
that's okay.
All right, so should we not approve these
I
minutes
would-
until our next meeting?
Right.
I'll draw my motion to approve.
Right. Who seconded it?
Good call.
I'll withdraw my motion. Second.
Good time. Was that push?
And do we have to go non-public for
I
session?
don't think so.
I didn't think it was that.
No, not for these, I don't think.
Yeah.
Hey, yours, Kip?
Should we take them, pass it on?
I think Dennis just ran out.
Oh,
I'm gonna say the minutes will be reviewed after they are finished. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right.
This just this is just an approval of the prior minutes. We don't have to do anything with this.
You just have to approve them and then, I know it's crazy. You were in non-public when you did that, so. We're doing it in public, so that's the end.
Yeah, all we were doing here was approving the minutes. We went into non-public minutes.
I'll make a motion, we accept the non-public session 1, 9/12/23 as written.
Second.
And we move in second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes, non-public session 2, 9/12/23 as written.
Second.
Then move in second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, here's my paper clip back.
Thank you.
I didn't charge him for this.
Okay, everybody done manifest.
I
Yes.
had one, I was
No,
almost done.
it hasn't been. But we do have to go into non-public for the disposition reports.
Yep,
That's at the end.
we're doing that.
Yes, that's at the end.
That's at the end, yep. Any public comment, Kevin?
5 pages.
What's that?
5 pages.
You have 5 pages of public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you print them, did you handwrite them and
Yes.
bring them?
You're welcome.
I don't know if you know, but I am no longer a member of your budget committee. For whatever reason, moderator saw fit to give my seat to Paul Blaisdell. So, I just heard tonight that insurance is gonna go up 15%, that we have no more safer grant money, which, what is 2.5, a couple $100,000. And whatever other increase that's gonna come our way. Do you expect that the public will just swallow that? But that's a significant increase.
You know, my goal is, Kevin, is 4 guys. The public should know what it costs for them 4 guys and let them determine what they want to do. And I think it should be I think it should be a separate item so people understand this is what it costs for them 4 guys.
It's just,
And there again, I'm one person.
there's been a committee, right, to figure out how to pay for that. What's the status of that committee? What did they come up with to keep it off the backs of the taxpayers?
There was a safer committee that was established, and they came up with some recommendations. Off the top of my head, I remember the largest recommendation was to move some of the items from the operating budget to the apparatus and equipment fund to help offset the costs of that. And I think that number this year, for those items that are being moved, which is repairs, maintenance, and service contracts, it's about $86,000 in the budget. So it doesn't cover the cost of even one person. But some of the other stuff that they explored was the increase in ambulance revenue because we're not using a mutual aid ambulance as much as we used to. They discussed putting a fee for new construction, I forget what a betterment fee, and in the end decided that against it because they thought it would be more prohibitive of development with a betterment fee.
It's also a nightmare to administer.
Probably one of the other things that they discussed. There was a report given by the Safer Committee at the last district meeting, so I believe I don't know if it's published or not or something. I remember they gave a report at the district meeting about it, so, and it's all over, so they're done with doing what they're going to do.
They've completed their work.
Yes.
What's going on with the water department?
Except for trial in January, I can't really discuss the specifics of anything other than what's been done publicly, which you're well aware of.
January,
Yeah,
and Belknap County Superior Court,
yes,
which is open to the public.
yes.
January 22nd or 29th.
Or is it the
No,
whole-
no, it's 2 weeks.
It's the
It's-
2-week
it's
period.
It's
Yeah, but
expected to be a one-day trial within a 2 weeks time span. They haven't nailed down the date yet.
I sit here, I mean, I don't come as much, because honestly, pretty much disconnected. But when I come to these meetings, I sit and I watch and I observe. As you know, I've sat at that table, I've sat at other boards, committees, and, you know, I always say hats off to anyone and that will put their name on a ballot, they come and, can I say, have the shit beat out of them and voluntarily like it. We do it all because if we like it. But I would recommend to you, gentlemen, that you take advantage of, and I'm not a fan of NHMA on any level, but they do put on some good classes about policy, procedure, how meetings are run, who does what. Because I see some things that just make me shake my head. Lastly, I want to talk about residency of the fire chief. I think you'd agree that it's your responsibility as the Board of Commissioners to do what's best for the district. That's always been what, I don't know if it's a basic responsibility or a core responsibility, whatever language you want to use. But it's always been that way. And I want to talk about the decision that was made to allow our chief to live outside the district, as residency was a requirement as a condition of employment. So I wonder if any of you, either individually or as a group, can tell me how taking that action to allow our chief to live outside the district was beneficial to the district. I don't think you can. It was done. So here's my understanding. If I'm off base, don't hesitate. I want to know if I'm off base. At some point along the time, it was indicated that our chief was going to retire in 2024. So when I heard that and it's not, I don't know if it, well, you weren't on the board, Tim, but the decision was made to change that. I didn't like it. I didn't raise hell about it because, you know what, 24. It's coming to an end, and my assumption was that anyone coming in is going to live here, because I've always felt that top echelon, if it's a good enough place to work, it really should be a good enough place to live. So, again, my understanding, and if I'm wrong, I'm telling you, I want to know. I want to know if I'm wrong, because I kind of want to be wrong. I don't like being wrong, but I like facts. So, there was talk about retirement in 24. At some point, Chief asked if he could be released. I think there was perhaps a great opportunity for the chief to sell his house in Tilton at significant premium and want to take advantage of that. I don't blame him. Guess what? I like money as much as anybody. And for whatever reason, the commissioner said, yeah, we can deal with that. In my opinion, the commissioners never should have entertained that. If for no other reason, because all previous chiefs have lived here, with one exception, and we flushed him out. I think you all might remember that. So I don't think it was a good idea. I don't believe it's benefited the district at all. I think the net result of that decision is that now both our career chiefs and our command vehicles are out of the district as many, not today, but as many as 16 hours a day. Now, and I ask you, how is that good for the district? The taxpayers are footing a larger bill for fuel and maintenance costs on the vehicles, and the vehicle will need to be replaced sooner as a result of the added use. since that took place, the budget has cycled once, I think. And that budget cycle included pay raise, 6, 7, 8%, whatever it was. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I know it was approved. I don't know what was given. Because everybody got a raise. So we're paying more for less. How is that beneficial to the district? There's no justification, and we all know it. I suspect there may have been a feeling amongst the majority of the commissioners that as a kind gesture for a job well done, given the fact that retirement would take place soon anyway, let it go. And if that was the case, I wouldn't be here. Now I'm hearing maybe there is no retirement in 24. If that's the case, will our chief continue to be allowed to reside outside the district? I think that's a pretty valid question. I personally certainly hope not. If the deal was to let him leave because he was retiring soon anyway, and that is changing, the entirety of the deal needs to change. And we need to have a resident chief once again. And when I say resident, I mean a full-time resident, as was the case previously, not just have an address here and actually living elsewhere. The last thing I want to say, I think, is, and I brought this up before, and I don't know why, I just feel like it was just skimmed over. As a sitting member of the building committee and a sitting member of the fire commission, Tim Sattler gets 2 votes on everything related to the new station. This isn't unique to Tim, it's not his fault. It was the same when John Silly was here. I brought it up then. So I just feel like it was skimmed over. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. No one should get 2 votes on the same items in the same organization. So, to expand on it, he gets to vote. For example, the last vote was, what was it, location.
Location.
Right? So he, as a committee member, voted Sanborn Road. He gets another vote. He sits at that table. I'm looking for fairness.
So you think the right way to do it, which I probably agree, is he should be on the board without a vote, and maybe have a vote for the fire commissioners. Would that be the?
The commissioners, the commissioners decided the whole thing, right? They decided everything, because that's your job to decide that. You decided the charge. You decided to change the charge. You decided that the chief doesn't get a vote. He doesn't get a vote on your board. He doesn't get a vote on the building committee either. Where's the fairness? 2 votes. 1 man, 2 votes.
I agree.
That's slow, you know.
I guess I never looked at it that way.
Well, how does it work with other, like you're on the budget?
I'm on the budget committee, don't I get 2 votes on the budget?
Do you get to vote on the budget
Yes,
when the
you
committee's
do.
meeting?
I mean, it's been that way for as long as I can remember. Same thing with the building committee, not with,
So,
I think you went through it too,
I
Kevin,
think
didn't you?
that, I
think you did.
think, what's that?
I think you went through it too. You were up here once and on the
That's
building
right.
committee.
Every time I come around, and I'm like, this ain't right. If, for example, the building committee had a selectman from each town on it, they would get a vote there and in their own town, which is different. But when you have multiple people, or you have one person getting more than one vote on anything within the same organization, where's, I want to hear how that's fair. Because you, I mean, right, as it sits right now, I think, Tim could be the swing vote for Sanborn Road. Because I think,
So, I guess you can look at it multiple ways, and I don't personally have a problem with not being a voting member unless,
Break it
There's
down
some-
in some way.
there's some, policy in place for, when the committee's created, who are the voting members and who aren't, obviously.
that's the kind of thing you would learn at NHMA.
But I guess where I was going with that was a vote at the building committee. In this case, that vote is the same vote that the committee is asking the commissioners to make. But if the building committee is talking about, I'll just make up something like, number of bays on the program, that vote doesn't have the same impact as the,
One person on a board of 3 is a swing vote. One person on a board of 7 is not.
well, I guess that's what I'm saying, it's that vote on the board of 7, or if it was 10, or if it was, 25, doesn't have the same weight as the commissioners do when they vote. Points taken.
And then I was wrong, I said that was the last thing. There's one more. Relative to the building committee, I disagree that 2 states should go past for more money. And I also think that the more you change your mind, the more you change course, the less you look like you know what you're doing. That's all.
So, what's gonna, it was brought up, we were confined to one place down on, then it was brought up about the land up here. So somebody brought it up, and we had to look, because people wanna know that stuff. And now what's gonna happen is, what do you suppose people are gonna say? Tilton pays more than we do. I mean, they want it in Tilton. What's Northfield gonna do? I'm telling you, I know it wouldn't pass, Kevin.
Well,
And nothing was done yet, though. I mean, you still got time to discuss it. I mean,
right. Well, I think it's a very valid point that I was going to bring up at the next building committee meeting. Do you get more buy-in by having the 2 stations than the people who will not vote for it because the price goes up? What is that price threshold as compared to? And of course, I look at it in my head. We've got it's not just 2 groups of people here who are we're trying to sway. There's like 5 groups of people here in the 2 communities that look at this in different aspects, and so are we going to gain more people by having 2 stations than the ones we're going to lose because the price goes from here to 50% more? And we already have a group of people that are going to be very sensitive to the price. $5 million, I'm out. Whether it's 5 or 8 or 10 or whatever it is, no matter how nice the solution is.
The other advantage too, I mean, I don't like the term kick it down the road, kick the can, or whatever I don't know what the actual wording of that saying is, but right now, interest rates, because against my wishes, we're gonna borrow money. And if you're talking 5, 6, 7 million at 3% or 4%, the economy's gonna crash.
Oh, it is.
Sure as we're all sitting here, not that far from now,
I think you're gonna
there's
see
gonna be
it
people
shortly.
like me, like I always do, when the economy goes down, we suck up property. We become little Hoover property guys. And we sit on it. So when it dumps, guess what else dumps? Interest rates. So if you, even 1% or a 0.5% on 5 million versus 7 million,
Huge.
significant amount of money, and you're paying it. You're paying money to borrow money. But I get it. I'm not gonna get my way. I'm not gonna pay cash for this thing. Ain't happening yet. But if I win the 1.2 billion next week, we won't have the problem, I promise you. But-
It's on record.
Kind of fun,
I'll tell you
you
what,
write your name, right?
give me the cash value of the 1.2 billion. We won't have a problem. So, yeah, I know I'm flapping, but I don't like to admit it, but I'm a little bit flustered. It is.
Well, and I think, if there was an easy solution, a previous committee would have found it years ago.
I won't try to pay more. I'm a little bit hungry.
Thank
I
you.
haven't eaten yet, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I mean, seriously, if you can find it in yourselves to go to the NHMA classes,
Yeah, I went to a couple of them this
You
spring
go,
and they were
huh?
very good.
I'm going to every Wednesday for a budget, yeah, with
and,
them. I'm going with your.
and I'm telling you to go because I like the organization, because I don't like the organization. But they have some very good classes
That's where I went for that.
that are
Yes,
very
it is.
beneficial, that you can learn from. That's all.
Thank you. She's got a good case on her. I just had one thing that I wondered if this was something the commissioners should discuss or something that should come up with the budget committee, but it looks to me like when you look at the chief's report and you see the amount of money that the ambulance is raising and how much money is in the equipment fund, I think we need to update the capital equipment purchase program. That sheet that goes out for the next 10 and 20 and 30 years. I think that should be reviewed, whether that's by us or a committee or the budget committee, or I don't know who would review that. And look at the dollar amounts of that account. It's got $844,000 in it right now. And we're gonna purchase an ambulance in 2 years.
Yeah, it'll come out in about 2 years. Pickup truck next
To the
year.
tune of 400 to 500 and whatever $1,000. But how much money is going to be in that account in 2 years? Well, we've already raised $400,000.
Another $1 million.
And we also, what was it, last year, we took some out and put it so we could use it, and if we do it this year,
No,
No.
we never took it, no.
I thought we took some out and,
We voted to use the apparatus and equipment fund to fund repairs, maintenance,
yeah.
and service contracts, which will show in this next budget.
And I think there was an estimate for that. It was like $70,000 or
Well,
$80,000.
I looked it up the other day, it's gonna be about $86,000.
Well, anyway, so the reason I bring it up is that fund is very specific as to what you can use money for. We changed it in the last year or two to add this in there. But at some point down the road, we can't buy enough equipment with the amount of money that's in that account, in my opinion. Somebody ought to look into that. Because if that's the case, and we're sitting here talking about how we're not gonna be able to afford personnel, we're not gonna be able to afford to buy a building, but we're gonna have all this money set aside for equipment we don't need, how does that help the district? And that's money that's being accumulated right now that doesn't benefit the district taxpayers right now.
So,
But
one
it
of the,
does.
one of the options that I threw out, I don't remember, I believe it was to the commissioners at one point, is that I do review that, and it's updated to the current form, and I can give it to you at the next commissioners meeting where we review the budget, is that at some point when we do bond a building, that the commissioners have the ability to look at the apparatus and equipment fund, but it's will require another change to withdraw a certain amount towards the bond payment every year. But that payment, that amount that you withdraw every year will probably be a different amount depending upon what we have in line to be purchased and what the balance is. And looking forward to make sure that whenever we do purchase things, that we are still paying cash for everything that we purchase. So we're not borrowing
Well,
to
right,
buy
I-
an engine when we couldn't pay cash for it.
I would never want to get to the point where, right, we have to borrow money to replace an engine. But you could plot this out, and at some point down the road, you're gonna have, $10 million in that fund and not need to buy a piece of equipment.
I don't know if it'll go
I
that
don't
high.
know.
I've gone as high as 2 million, but then we have to buy an engine or at some point the
I know
ladder
you
truck.
Ladder truck's
You-
a million.
You're putting $500,000 plus in there a year.
Engine's gonna be $1 million. Engines are over $1 million.
Right now, a new engine is $1 million. But we're not gonna need an engine for,
20 years.
well, no, I'm gonna say 9 to 15 years you'll be buying a new engine.
But anyway, that account is growing. When we go to buy the next piece of equipment, which is an ambulance, that account will have,
The next two are ambulances, aren't they?
Yes.
Or when's a ladder truck or a tanker?
seems
We're
like
not
last
gonna,
time.
we're not gonna be replacing the tanker or the ladder in quite some time.
Oh no, I don't remember.
They
what
don't
the
get run
schedule-
like the
Yeah.
engines.
No, I just don't remember what the.
But when you look at the chart, the only thing on there in the next, it was quite a few years. I don't want to say 10, but it was quite a few
It's a
years.
couple of ambulances and maybe a command car or two and the pickup truck.
And it's like you're putting enough money in there each year to buy an ambulance.
Yeah,
We do buy all our turnout gear and all that kind of stuff every year, as well as all our EMS supplies and disposables, and now we've added the service contracts, repairs and maintenance of vehicles.
But I think we should look at that as commissioners, and I think we should have that conversation about, is the amount of money in that growing at a rate that allows for some amount to be taken out to be used in the budget in other areas.
Because in 2 years from now, we'll collect another $1 million. Because we're over $500,000 a year now. And we're not there yet, but we will be. Add that to the $800,000 we have now, minus an ambulance and a pickup truck, say at the most $600,000, just wild numbers. We're still at $1.2 million of balance in there, minus what we're gonna spend on repairs and turnout gear and EMS equipment. So, it's not, it's likely still to be somewhere near $1 million.
I'm just gonna ask a silly question because I don't know the answer. Because we're talking about the equipment apparatus fund. What would the annual bond payment be on a station over 20, like annually 20 years? I don't know this answer because I don't know.
I think the current bond rate for municipalities is somewhere around,
I think it's around 5%.
it's close, yeah, 4.8.
But what does that equate to over
Actual dollars. Right?
actual dollar? Okay, every year or every month you got to write a check to the bond bank for how much?
I don't know.
I would be more.
I think the bond bank, I think it's an annual payment, so I think when
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know okay, the town of Tilton's paying for the police station. It's we'll call it $5 million loan over 20 years, and it's at it's a stupid low rate.
It's 2% or something like
Yeah,
that.
let's just call it 1.5%. So what do they have to write a check for every year to pay that off over 20?
That's Tim Pearson.
Well, no, I'm just saying, okay, now, okay, do you look at a fire station and say, okay, we're gonna
20
take our
years,
fire station, now it's
5%.
not really costing the
7
taxpayers
million,
a dime.
46,000 a month.
Well,
I don't know if
that's where I was
So-
going with the
No,
conversation.
but,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
factor
I just
that
don't,
out
I
over
don't,
the
I don't
year.
have the information.
So you
I don't
figure,
So,
But-
600,000 a year?
yeah,
I just did a
Well,
mortgage calculation.
yeah,
I don't wanna,
Yeah.
I wanna avoid, as a taxpayer,
I would say.
I wanna avoid having a 160-year-old building to house my beautiful equipment that I can't afford to hire enough guys to use. So to have that fund disproportionately grow when we can't afford to get the taxpayers to pay for the manpower we need and the stations that we need makes no sense to me.
It does. When that was started years ago,
We weren't making that kind of money.
well, no, you I remember when Tom Glant started it actually. And he came up with the idea of doing that. And back then, you know, every 2 or 3 years, they had enough to buy a piece of equipment.
Right.
And it weren't brand new either. Most of it was used.
Right.
Had brand new, I mean, a used ladder truck that was, I forget what year it was old. And, you know, the trucks were 15, 20 years old.
Right. No, it
But
makes
they,
sense. at the time.
and over the years, it has grown because we're collecting more, number
Right.
one.
Right.
But it was set up to just replace apparatus. That's
Right.
what it was set up for.
Right.
And over the years, we've kind of dwindled into to change it a little bit here, a little. And there's no, I see no problem with it. But you just gotta, we can't just.
No, and I agree. I just, you have to be able to look at it and modify it
I
as
understand.
times change. And of course, we didn't even discuss the chief is working with the insurance department, and is there potential for us to be getting more payment
Yes.
for the ambulance services that we're providing? So if that happens, even with no additional ambulance calls, the ambulance will generate even more income than it is now.
So one of the things I'm working on right now, and which we've got, I've been on this committee for several months now. The legislature in this last session passed that Medicaid, which is the state aid, they're gonna pay the same as Medicare per transport now, the same rates, which is almost 100% increase over what they were paying before, because they were closer to less than half. So so instead of $210 per Medicaid transport, we'll be getting $500 per Medicaid transport. Medicare transport is another $500. But we're also looking at working with commercial carriers to come up, and the Commissioner of Insurance wants to do it through regulation, not through legislation, but I don't know how that's really gonna work out in the end, is to come up with a reasonably accepted payment rate for private carriers, which is 19.9% of our payments come from private carriers. Private carriers are paying close to the same as Medicare rates.
Which is
course.
nowhere near the actual cost.
The actual cost for us to transport somebody is closer to $2,000 per transport. That's what it cost us. If they paid us, at least that 19% of the people paid us what we really cost us to provide the service, we'd be in a much better place than where we are now. And then CMS, Medicare, is doing the 5-year study of every ground ambulance entity in the whole United States has to fill out what it cost for whatever year you pick to do it to run your organization. Soup to nuts, toilet paper to fire engines to ambulances and everything in between. How much does it cost? And in the end, you come up with the number, because I did it last year, and I gave you guys a breakdown of that a couple months ago. And that's how you get to the cost of what it really costs us to do a transport. But one of the other things I'm working on, I had a meeting with Senator Prentice today about it, is there's a lot of times we'll go and we'll treat a patient and they don't go to the hospital. We can't charge for that. But private commercial insurance carriers do have a code for that. If you put in for it, they will pay you a menial sum. But it's money, it's like $300 or $400. But in turn, we have to change up some of our practices to make sure that we get the proper information so that we can charge the insurance companies to do that. The other thing with that is that trying to get Medicare to do the same thing. And there's a whole nother slew of things with community health, paramedics health, where there are I think 8 organizations within the state of New Hampshire where they hire an additional person, it's a paramedic, to do community medicine. And most of them are subsidized by the hospitals that they're, the biggest one is the one up in Lebanon. Dr. Hitchcock is subsidizing that with grants. A 3-year grant, and they just renewed it for 3 more years because it's ended up saving them money through readmissions and are not having people being admitted. There's a program in Mass that we had a guy from Mass that was part of this meeting today, that where Cataldo Ambulance does it, and they're making money. They're not saving money, they're making money. And if things get changed in a federal manner, they could be making more money. So there's business models out there to do it. It's all depends upon who you're collaborating with in your area. So it has to be folks in your area. So like Concord Hospital, different medical practices, the VNA. They even go to nursing homes to do downstairs so they don't have to transport the patient, because the patient doesn't need to be transported if they get this, which a nursing home can't provide, but an advanced paramedic can. So this is all the stuff that I'm working on, and trying to, I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the possibilities, and I'm working with the insurance commissioner on this and other, I'm technically representing the New Hampshire Association of Fire Chiefs on these committees, but I'm really looking at it. I'm looking out for all the fire departments that provide transport services. And so I have a front row seat in all this, and I have a say in how it goes down.
You know, the worst thing though is, it's nice to collect all that money, but we pay for it.
Oh, we do.
You just see it, a 15% increase in your insurance.
Right.
Somebody got to pay for all this that we're getting.
Right.
So you're paying for it, I'm paying for it.
Right.
Nobody wins.
So the big players.
But I want Tilton Northfield Fire Department to get our share.
The big player in this is not the commercial carriers. It's Medicare and Medicaid. You put those two together, that's 65% of our, it's called our payer mix. 65% of our revenue is derived from Medicare and Medicaid. Then you get the 20% from the commercial carriers, and then there's like the Veterans Administration, and I forget what whoever's on in the military, there's a thing, and then there's workman's comp, which are all small percentages that equal up 100%. And that's all in that paper that I gave you a few weeks ago.
Which is probably why some of that sounds familiar, because I read it. But where I was going with that is, you know, we need to maximize available revenue to offset the taxes.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And if that account is generating enough money that we can pull some amount out, $50,000, $100,000, whatever that amount is, that can go towards paying for the new building or paying for those extra firefighters, then that makes it more palatable to the taxpayer when we're at the meeting there, showing how, you know, we can provide, we can resolve these issues with not having the adequate fire station. We can continue to have our 4 guys per shift,
And we're gonna do that by pulling some money out of this account, because we can justify that we can pull money out of this account, because we can demonstrate that the account will still grow sufficiently to pay for the equipment.
We are fairly fortunate that it belongs to the Tilton Northfield Fire Department, because a lot of towns, they draw that revenue, and they spend it any way they want.
It goes back to their general fund.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
why I think it's important that we look at that, and,
Okay.
because the building committee is gonna come back with, you know, here's a plan, here's some nice schematics, and it's gonna cost X amount of dollars, whatever the, and then we have to figure out how we're gonna pay for that,
Yeah.
and what the impact is gonna be on the tax rate.
Okay.
And somebody's gonna ask at the meeting, because I've already been asked, how do we pull money out of that account to help pay for the building?
It's a warrant article.
Yeah, this deal.
You have to,
Well, we need to be talking about that sooner than later.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Okay, let's move on. Non-public session per RSA 91-A.
Well, I have one comment I wanted to make.
Okay.
This probably should have been under number 9.
Well, go ahead.
And I've heard it here a couple of times tonight, but on Saturday, I went to the football game at the high school. And one of our firefighters, paramedic, his new title is trainer, was at the game, and I introduced myself to him because he didn't look familiar. He goes, "Yeah, I'm one of the safer guys." And it bothered me.
That he referred to himself that way?
Yeah, and we do it here. We refer to the safer guy, and there's nothing worse than a stigma or a scarlet letter. He is a firefighter in the Tilton and Northfield Fire and EMS Department. I don't know if that's the right word, but he's a firefighter, paramedic, trainer.
No lesser.
No lesser.
Absolutely correct.
And I think we need to start not referring to these guys as the safer grant guys, because they are full, doesn't matter who pulls up to the door, they're the same thing as if you pull up driving the engine or they pull up driving the engine. They're going to do the same job, and I don't care. I want them, I think we need to start, and I think we have to, in the community, they're firefighters for the Tilton Northfield Fire Department, paramedics. And I think we need to, and the more I thought about it since Saturday, the more it's bothered me. Because he goes, "Oh, I didn't know I was a trainer." But that's another story. But because someone got hurt, and one of the players in the field goes, "Trainer, trainer," and he was like drinking his water. So someone said, "You gotta go." But it just kind of, that's how he introduced himself to me. And I'm like, "Well, no, you're a firefighter for the department." I mean, I don't see. I wouldn't have known either way, because I don't know. I made a joke. Well, you'll become as a firefighter when if someone leaves or you knock someone off. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's something that we need to think about, and that's it.
Well, can I add to that point?
Go ahead.
You mentioned earlier in the meeting that you wanted to separate out the cost going forward as a separate warrant article, and I guess I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not sure that I 100% agree with that approach. But I would be happy to continue that conversation at a later date.
Okay.
Because I might be more inclined to just include the line, because they're already in the budget.
We'll
We
come
just
up-
showed the
it
safer
will
grant
come up.
money. Oh, no, but right, in the presentation at the beginning of the meeting, when you're highlighting the areas of highest increase, and then areas where you're having revenue that's not coming, well, that's part of that discussion. We're not receiving this revenue anymore that helps offset the labor line item.
I mean, the only reason why I say that is because, like I said, this is what's they're going to cost to hire 4 more guys, although you're going to get a better response. I mean, it's just a...
Well, we already hired them. It's not like we're hiring.
no, this is
Okay.
what it's gonna cost to keep them.
Keep them.
We're absorbing the cost.
Yeah.
But they're already in the budget. It's not like they're a separate line in the budget. They're already in the budget.
I just
They're
like,
just offset by a revenue line up here.
I know, but
Can I speak to what Eric said? I wholeheartedly agree with you, Eric, and I think they are our firefighters, they do belong here. But from the beginning, they were given a different training budget and a different allotment for training, so they are different. On top of that, they hear from, not just here, out in the community, there's not 100% support for them. So it's very difficult to come to work and know your job is not secure. And there's a lot of people in this community, a lot of people that have said it at this table, a lot of people here, they watch these meetings. They know what people say. So we can say that they're the same, but they definitely feel different. They feel attacked and they feel not secure. And so we could love them and hug them and tell them they're great, but that's not what they feel out in the community. And
That's what we do.
That-
We do all that stuff, but they still have that.
and I
Unfortunate, yeah.
I don't blame them for feeling that way.
No, I mean, he had nothing but praise for the department, you know, coming as an employee of the
Yeah.
department, and he's had.
But you're right, it puts them in an
experience.
awkward position
Yeah.
because you're doing everything right.
I had a great conversation with him,
Yeah.
and
They're
I'm not-
great. We are so lucky to have the
He's-
staff that we have. It's not,
He said
it's amazing that we have the staff that we have,
Yeah.
looking around at what other departments are dealing with. And I just hope we can continue with that.
well, I think people will. I think over the 3 years, they've seen what it can do. So I don't think there's a problem with it. I just think, I'm a firm believer in being upfront with everybody. I mean, I don't like to hide stuff, because when you start hiding stuff or hiding something, then people look at you like, God, they didn't tell me this right up front. There must be something else they had. I just,
I agree, and that's why I've always been a proponent of you need to listen to the questions that are being asked, so that when you're at the meeting and you're doing a presentation at the beginning of the district meeting and you're talking about responses and all the great things that have happened, you bring it up then. You bring it up then, and you're upfront with it, so that hopefully you answer any questions that somebody in the crowd could ask, because it makes the meeting move faster, and you don't get derailed by somebody asking a question that you weren't prepared for. So it really forces you to be prepared when you come into the meeting, and you've thought about these things and you've presented it in a manner that is understandable and makes sense, and that you've shown that we have talked about it. It has been discussed. There's a lot of thought went into it, and this is why you're getting the budget you're getting. So I sometimes disagree that with putting things in warrant articles, some of that just is I think unnecessary. If you properly explain it, it's just in the budget. Kind of like the water. We go back and forth. The water's in the budget. Now the water's a warrant article. The water's in the budget. The water's a warrant article.
And if we hadn't put it in our own article, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah. So anyway.
okay.
All right. I got my soapbox.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you for that insight.
Okay, we're going non-public session, RSA 91-A3, Roman numeral number 2C.
Right.
All those in.
No, roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Sure, yes. Eric?
Potter, yes.
Tim
Tim
said
Sedgwick?
yes.
Okay.
We're in non-public at 8:03.
Which button do I hit, Kathy?
The red
The red
button on
one.
the right.
All right, you shut that one.
Yeah, just.
Courtney, sorry about the
Oh,
recorder not being able to use it properly.
yeah, public session reconvenes at 8:15 PM.
Christmas party.
You're not making a motion.
Okay, so I'll sit there.
No,
I could do roll call.
no. What you need to do is say that you reviewed and acted upon the disciplinary reports.
We did what?
You reviewed,
Oh, we reviewed the non-district,
no, and acted upon.
and act upon the decision reports. Now we do roll call.
Nope, now you do it, any other business?
Okay, any other business?
Yes, yes.
No?
I wanted during the meeting, the chief received a call from Jeannie Forster.
That's correct. And she said she would contact the chairman of the select board to make sure that you could get on the agenda for this coming Thursday. She didn't think there'd be a problem, but she was going to get back to me on that. The other thing, she wanted to know if I would be attending with whoever was gonna go, and I think only you would be going. And if you wanted me to show up there, that's fine, just gotta let me know.
I don't know, do you feel like you need to be there? I mean, you've been having the correspondence, but I don't know that you need to be there.
The question I asked her was about the water line we would need to be granted an easement from the town of Tilton to the fire department property on Sanborn Road. And would the selectmen be in favor of that?
But I think we also have to have more other questions answered.
Oh, yeah. And
Well, if you have any questions, then
Well, I think
of-
we're trying to find out. I think we need to have a more solid answer of
What they're really looking for.
yeah.
Well, I think, right, my notes were to confirm the agreement that we have and to ask what they view as the next steps. How does that verbal agreement move forward, and what has to take place for that to become more official? And then I got the water easement. And then I wanted to also ask and apologize for if it was us that, if this was supposed to be private, non-public, and we made it public.
she referred to me that this would not be, she asked if it needed to be in non-public, because she didn't think it needed to be, because
Okay.
it's out there.
Well, I might want to mention that if we were the ones who made it public and we weren't supposed to, then I wanted to apologize for that. And then I want to be able to back up the reason we're asking those questions based on the conversations that have been coming up with the building committee. And throw out some of those scenarios just to get a sense for.
The other thing that you might want to throw out there is that the selectmen, per statute, are not required to have a town meeting vote to approve the sale of the land. Would that warrant article be binding or just advisory? I'll send you the RSA on that.
Okay.
Have it sitting on the desk.
Yeah, if you could reword that question, that'd be great. I'm sorry.
For what? You're
Just
fine.
dragging it out.
You're fine, I don't care.
Any other questions?
You
You
have-
have to get this squared away.
You had something there?
Did you have anything else?
No.
Did you have anything else?
I'm just wondering if it would be good, if Paul Blaisdell went too, if he wanted to.
Thursday, he
Thursday?
can't.
No, he won't be
He
able
won't
to.
be able to go
Why
on
not?
Thursday.
No.
Okay.
That's this Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm just wondering if somebody from the board would go with, you're representing us,
Right.
but there again, if somebody from the board, in case they had some other questions.
Let the committee know and find out. It's a public session. If it's gonna be in a public session, anyone can be there.
I guess I'll wait for hear from Jeannie how they're gonna, if it's even okay, and if it's gonna be public or private, and then I can let the committee know if the
Yes,
commission
Yeah.
wants the committee to be
Yeah,
there.
if anybody wants to be there to,
And after that conversation, if you feel it would be helpful to be there, I'll let you decide.
Okay.
But don't feel you have to be there because I asked you to.
Any other thing?
Yes. Eric has something.
Motion to adjourn at 8:21.
You didn't want, did you have something to say, Tim?
No, I thought Eric had another item.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Non-debatable. 8:21, we're adjourned.
All right, let me hit the button here.